Hello everyone, welcome to BioLessons. In today's class, we will start with a new chapter, excretory products and their elimination. So this is the first lecture and we will be talking about what are the common excretory products. So let's start by understanding what are excretory products. In the body, there are different metabolic activities that go on, and during the process of ingestion, okay, when food is digested, different byproducts are released. These byproducts can be ammonia, urea and uric acid, or it can be gaseous byproducts such as carbon dioxide, or liquid products such as water. Also, certain ions like sodium, potassium, chloride, phosphate and sulfate are released. So all of these together constitute the excretory products. Now, because the body no longer needs them, we need to completely remove them or partially remove them. Okay. Now, these three types of nitrogenous waste, that is ammonia, urea and uric acid, what type will be produced? That specifically depends upon the habitat or where the organism is living and how much water is available there. That is your water availability. So habitat and water availability defines what is the type of the nitrogenous waste that is to be produced. Clear? So in previous slide we discussed a lot of types of byproducts, but mostly we will be focusing only on the nitrogenous waste. So there are three main types of nitrogenous waste. Okay, if the byproduct released is in the form of ammonia, it is known as ammonotelism. Urea, it is known as ureotelism, and uric acid, it is known as uricotelism. Okay, now organisms are known as ammonotelic organisms if the byproduct is ammonia. Similarly, they are known as ureotelic organisms if they release urea as a byproduct, and uricotelic organisms release uric acid as a byproduct. This part is clear? Okay. Now let's see toxicity. These different types of nitrogenous waste, they have different toxicity. Ammonia has the highest toxicity and uric acid has the least toxicity. And coming to urea, it has the moderate toxicity. Okay. Now let's see solubility and how much water is required to expel the byproducts. Okay, ammonia is highly soluble in water. That's why it needs maximum amount of water to release as a byproduct. Okay, urea, it is moderately soluble in water. That's why it needs moderate amount of water to be released as a byproduct. And coming to uric acid, it has the least solubility in water. That's why it needs very little water to be released as a byproduct. That's why uric acid, if it is released just as a pellet or a paste. Okay. Now that you know that a lot of water is required for ammonia to be produced as a byproduct, where can we see this ammonotelic organisms? Definitely in the habitat where organisms are living in aquatic environment, right? Because they have a lot of water, so they can use that water in order to expel the byproduct as ammonia, right? So mostly we see ammonotelism in bony fishes, aquatic amphibians and aquatic insects, and the mechanism in which it is released is through diffusion from body surfaces or through the gills. Okay, mostly in the form of ammonium ion or NH4+ ions, right? Now here there's a catch. See, when I say aquatic amphibians, you know they can stay both in water and land. For example, frog. So if you see the larval stage of the frog that lives in water, that's why in larval form, the frog has to release the byproduct in the form of ammonia. Okay, that's very important from exam perspective. Now coming to urea. Now because it needs moderate water, ureotelism, it is found mostly in mammals, terrestrial amphibians and marine fishes. Now urea is converted from NH3 in liver and it is filtered by the kidney. So this particular statement, where is liver, where is ammonia converted to urea, is very important. You should remember, conversion of ammonia to urea takes place in the liver. Okay. One more important concept, why marine fishes, they do not release the byproduct as ammonia, why urea? Okay, because they are also living in a habitat where we have a lot of water. But look, in marine environment, the water has a lot of salt concentration. Okay, so if there is a lot of salt concentration, we cannot, already water, there will be a tendency to lose water. Okay, so they have urea, they release urea as a method of osmoregulation. Okay, that helps to maintain the osmolarity of the organisms such as sharks and rays, and also it helps in buoyancy of those organisms. Okay, so very important question, marine fishes, if you say shark and rays, the method in which they release the nitrogenous waste is in the form of urea. Okay, coming to uricotelism, it is excreted with nearly or no water loss and it is mostly seen in reptiles, birds and land snails and insects. Okay, so here if you pay attention to the previous year question, order of toxicity and water requirement is important, and the examples where you can find ammonotelism, ureotelism and uricotelism is very important. Okay, let's now take a break and see some questions. The first one is from NEET 2018. Which of the following animals is ammonotelic? So you must remember, ammonotelic means aquatic organisms. So the options are adult frog, lizard, rohu fish and pigeon. So obviously rohu fish is the answer because it is found in, rohu fish is the answer because it is found in aquatic environment, right? If instead of adult frog here larva is given and instead of rohu we would have shark or ray fish, what would be the answer? The answer will change as frog larva. Okay, why? Because shark and ray fish, they excrete through urea as the byproduct, right? Let's go to the next question. Which nitrogenous waste requires maximum water for excretion? Maximum water, we know that it is required in case of ammonia. If question is asked minimum water, answer would be uric acid. Okay. Okay, next question now. It appeared in NEET 2016. Uricotelic animals include mammals, birds, amphibians, fishes. We know that birds, they excrete the byproduct in the form of uric acid. That's why they are uricotelic. Okay. Next question is conversion of ammonia into urea. Where does it take place? We already know that it takes place in the liver through the urea cycle or the ornithine cycle. Okay. So here you should remember that the shift from the ammonotelism to ureotelism to uricotelism is a terrestrial adaptation. As the organisms start living more in the land, the tendency to lose nitrogenous waste shifts from releasing as ammonia to releasing as uric acid. Okay, I hope this is clear now. Let's now look at the different types of excretory structures that are present across the animalia or different types of animals. Okay, the primitive one is Protonephridia, otherwise known as the flame cells. They are found in the flatworms or the platyhelminthes. Example, Planaria. Also, it is found in rotifers, some annelids, cephalochordates. Example, Amphioxus also have Protonephridia in them. You must remember that because it is a primitive excretory structure, The primary role of Protonephridia is not nitrogenous waste elimination. It is responsible primarily for the osmoregulation or maintaining the ionic balance and fluid volume regulation. Okay, why? Because look, platyhelminthes live in aquatic environment, so they have to expel out a lot of water. Okay, otherwise water will enter inside their body, so they have this Protonephridia in order to reduce the water loss. That is the primary goal, not elimination of the nitrogenous waste. Okay, second example of the excretory structure is Nephridia, and it is found in the little complex type of organisms such as earthworms and other types of annelids. Okay, now the main function of Nephridia is removal of the nitrogenous waste along with maintaining the fluid and the ionic balance. So look, Nephridia has two roles, but Protonephridia, it has main role of maintaining the osmoregulation. Okay. Third type of structure is Malpighian tubules, and it is found mostly in insects. Example, cockroach. Okay, this is very important, and again the main function is both removal of nitrogenous waste and osmoregulation. Okay, now we have antennal glands, otherwise known as green glands. We found it in the crustaceans. Example, prawns. Okay, now the main function is again excretion here. Now the fourth type of excretory structure is kidney. They are complex tubular organs and they perform filtration, excretion and osmoregulation. Okay, they are found in almost all the vertebrates. So examples of the excretory structure along with the animals is very important, and you must remember that Protonephridia has one primary function, osmoregulation. Others, they have dual function, removal of nitrogenous waste as well as osmotic regulation. Okay, let's look at some of the match the following questions in the next slide. So here let's match the following. So we have Planaria, cockroach, earthworm, prawn. So the answer would be Planaria. We know it is a primitive organism, example of flatworm or platyhelminthes. So it will have what? Protonephridia. Okay. Cockroach, very important. It will have the Malpighian tubules. Okay. And then we have earthworm. Earthworm or other annelids, they will have Nephridia in them. And what about the prawn? Prawn will have the antennal glands. Okay. Next, let's look at the question 6 that has come in NEET 2021. Match the excretory organs with the organisms. So here we have flame cells instead of what? Instead of Protonephridia. So flame cells, again they are found in the flatworms or Planaria. Okay. So next is Nephridia. Nephridia, we know it is found in annelids. So it will be earthworm. We have next is Malpighian tubules. Malpighian tubules, insects, you can do cockroach. Green glands, otherwise antennal glands, it is found in the prawn. Very easy, so you need to remember it. So now you know how you should prepare from PYQ perspective. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the session today and you're clear about the important concepts. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share and subscribe to my channel. Also, I will be pinning a PDF which will have the practice PYQs and the important PYQ liners. Please go through them and reach me out if you have any other queries. Thank you everyone. Have a very good day.